Thanks.
Carl Hulse. Thanks so much, Carl. We appreciate your time.
Happy to be here.
So for a roundup of the congressional musical chairs that we're talking about, as well as the top political stories of the day, I'm joined now by Princella Smith, Republican strategist, as well as Joy-Ann Reid with the Reid Report. She's also a columnist with the Miami Herald. Ladies, good to have you with me. And Joy-Ann, I want to start with you. Give us your take, the changing of seats, so to speak, of what this means as we're going forward. Is this a stunt or really symbolic?
Well, you know what? I think, first of all, I'd like to say I'm proud to have Princella as my pre-State of the Union date here on your show, Thomas. But I think actually it's going to make it interesting because it's going to be a lot harder to stand up and cheer or to boo and hiss, as we've seen at a lot of previous State of the Unions, when you're sitting next to someone from across the aisle. And I think that most people are going to be very aware of the camera, very aware that they're going to be watched for their demeanor. You're going to see a lot of sort of positive displays coming from the floor. I think that actually might make for a much tamer State of the Union. And then I think that the president's speech is going to really tend toward unity and tend toward unifying themes and not so much point scoring on what he accomplished and what he and the Democrats accomplished in the first 2 years.
All right, Princella, what do you think? And remember, Joy-Ann is your television date right now. Do you agree?
Well, I got to tell you, I hate to be Debbie Downer. I really don't care if, like, you know, Rand Paul is sitting in Barbara Boxer's lap. Like, I don't care. I mean, I think it's a nice gesture. You know, I do think it's great that the Tucson victims, you know, families are going to be there, and obviously as a nation we need to acknowledge that. But I think the real focus needs to be on what President Obama is going to say, because you and I both know that, you know, in about a few weeks they're going to be back at it again. The real issue is jobs. Our states don't have the revenue to cover about $700 billion in obligations that we have right now. I think an interesting thing you're going to see come up in the next Congress is there's a rumor that someone in Congress is going to propose a bill that will allow states to file for bankruptcy. This is the kind of stuff that the American people want to hear President Obama talk about. They want to hear about jobs. So I don't care. I don't care who's sitting by who, as long as, you know, my cousins in eastern Arkansas can get some jobs out of whatever policies are going to come out.
Hey, listen, Princella, I'm hearing you loud and clear. So, Joy-Ann, what do you think with Princella saying this about jobs? Doesn't the president's popularity really matter when it comes to the economy? I mean, has he managed it well, or are we just hitting a natural cycle of an upswing?
Well, you know what? I think, first of all, President Obama, for the first 2 years, right, was sort of the green eye-shade president. He had to deal with a crisis environment, and then he had to deal with trying to get through big divisive issues like health care reform. But really now, as we've seen, because of the, I think, president's policies, I think the stimulus, the CBO said, did work, and sort of we've underpinned the economy. Now this is about forward looking. And I think for the president, he does have to set an agenda that is about what the American people care about. Jobs, but also growth. The State of the Union is a national coming together. He has to talk about where we as a country are going forward, not just to create more jobs numerically, but to create a greater sense of unity and to give America back kind of its mojo. We need to be a country that's on the move and that's growing in every conceivable way. If he can communicate that and be big and go big, I think it'll be a successful State of the Union.
Princella, we've got Congressman Paul Ryan, who is a GOP rising star, giving the Republican response. And as we've been talking about, we're seeing this blurring of the aisle with these, you know, certain power leaders sitting together. How can Ryan take to the response of this, and how cutting politically can he be in this climate?
Well, here's the deal. I mean, I don't think Congressman Ryan's goal is to be cutting. You know what I mean? I think that his focus is going to be, this is all great, cosmetically, that's nice.
You don't think it's to be cutting? I mean, the response, isn't the response to undercut the State of the Union of what the president's saying?
That's not the point. Paul Ryan is going to speak to what the American people put his colleagues in office for. In November 2010, Paul Ryan was joined by, a lot of people were elected to join Paul Ryan as members of his party. That people spoke very loud and clear, not necessarily that they want Republicans, but that they wanted change. And so he's joined by a lot of new people, and he's going to get in there and make the case that, hey, my new colleagues, we're coming in, we have an agenda for jobs, and that's the focus, jobs and reducing this deficit. And the rest of this stuff, like I said, it's fluff. We're going to forget about it in a couple of weeks, who sat by who at the State of the Union.
I'll bet we'll still be talking
That's what he's
about
going to focus
Thomas,
on.
He's talking cuts, not growth. He's going to be talking cuts, and that's going to be an incredible contrast when the president's going to be talking about investment, and what Paul Ryan's going to do is say, this is what we're going to cut. We're here to cut spending, cut spending.
Investment,
but the polls
you
show
mean
people
spending.
don't want cut spending. No. People want growth, and people want jobs. People want a forward, positive agenda.
And we're not going to have growth.
All the Republicans are going to be offering is cuts. It's not going to really
We're
mesh,
not going to
I
have
don't think,
growth.
with what the American
We're
people
not
are
going to
looking
have
for.
growth unless we cut. We're not going to have growth unless
Economics
we cut.
101,
And
cutting doesn't produce growth. Econ 101.
Ladies, we are going to have to see.
Econ 101 spending doesn't produce
But you're
growth.
still a great
okay.
date.
God, look, this TV date
You
went
are
south
too.
really fast, ladies. What happened? We started off so well.
We've broken
still
up.
wanna
We're
be her
breaking up.
friend.
It's
right
over.
now.
All right.
I still want to be your friend. Can we be
All right.
friends?
On Wednesday,
just
we're
be
going to
friends,
talk
yes.
about this when we know for sure exactly what both parties had to say with the president after his speech, State of the Union, as well as Representative Ryan. So we'll have you both back. Princella Smith and
Thank you.
Joy Ann
Great.
Reid, thank you both. And also stay with MSNBC leading up to and following the State of the Union address tomorrow night. Special coverage starting right here.